I just felt something coming out. I was like, what's this? What's
Hi
going on?
guys, today I'm going to be talking about my second labor experience. If this is something you're interested in hearing about, stay tuned to the video. Today is going to be like a chill story time, sort of. It's been 2 months now, and I just wanted to share my second labor experience with you guys because it's nothing like the first one. Absolutely nothing like the first one. So yeah, it just goes to prove that every labor, every pregnancy is quite different. So if you haven't seen my first labor experience, you should go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description box so that you can go watch that. So as you know, my first labor experience, I had to be induced. So this time around, when I was getting to 40 weeks, as 40 weeks, which is my EDD, expected date of delivery, came and passed and no signs of labor, your girl had to go and look for castor oil and drink. This is not medical advice, okay, but it's just advice that our mothers have passed across to us. What castor oil essentially does is that it makes you have sort of diarrhea, so you have frequent runny stools and all of that. And it's said that if the science behind it is supposed to be like, if the rectum, which is very very close to the uterus, is stimulated, it could cause stimulation of the uterus as well, since the nerves that control that area are essentially from the same source. But it doesn't always work. In fact, my first pregnancy, it didn't do anything for me. But this time around, okay, prior to even my EDD, I had been having like small contractions like this, but it was nothing to write home about. So I had to drink the castor oil. After drinking the castor oil, it be like says the thing still no work. Oh. So I don't know, it means that castor oil just doesn't work for me. And surprisingly, it works for my mother. So you really never can tell with these local remedies. Okay, I was walking around, I was exercising, all of that. I was having small signs of labor, or what I thought was small signs of labor, because I really didn't think it was labor. Then at I think 40 weeks plus some days, I was at home. I now had the urge to just go and pee. So I went and peed in the bathroom, and I came out and I just felt something coming out. I was like, what's this? What's going on? Because I didn't have that in my first labor. And the next thing I just heard "Wah!" And when they say your water broke, they actually meant your water broke. Because I just heard "Wah!" on the floor. Because I was wondering what was coming out like that. So that's how I felt hard. This one that my water has broken. That means I should be expecting labor anytime soon. So I sent my husband a text, my water broke. Oh. So but he was busy at work. So he just called to find out if I was having steady contractions, and I told him no, nothing like that. So that was around like 2ish. So around 6 p.m. he came back from work and still nothing serious happening, or so I thought. So we went to the hospital and told them that my water broke, and they were like, oh, have I still having contractions? I was like, nothing too serious. So the one that I had timed at home was like 20 seconds. So as far as I was concerned, I was not in labor. So they said, okay, that as I know that once the membranes rupture, that's the meaning of your water breaking. Once the membrane rupture, the baby has to come out within 24 hours. So it's either they induce me or they do CS or whatever, but the baby shower has to come out within 24 hours. So I got to the labor room. They prepared the bed for me, all of that, took my vitals, took history. And the nurse first of all did a VE for me. And she said, oh, this labor has not even started. Oh, the cervix, she couldn't really feel the cervix because it was posterior. So when I tried to ask her how dilated I was, she was like, she's not really sure that the cervix is really posterior. Typically, when you're progressing in labor, the cervix comes out more. Posterior means it's at the back. So when you're progressing, it comes forward. Okay, so I was like, this one, that the thing is still posterior, that means that nothing at all, but that she couldn't feel the opening to know the dilatation. So when the doctor came, he was like, okay, let him check again. First of all, I was not very open to another VE, because see, I know that labor is very uncomfortable, but I think that is not talked about, hands down. Vaginal examinations are one of the most uncomfortable things in the world. Oh my god, I can't even start to talk about that. But it's something that is not talked about enough. It's really, really very uncomfortable. So when he said he was going to do another one since she was not sure of dilatation, I was like, I beg. He said, well, if we don't know the dilatation, we cannot know what stage of labor that you are in. So we really have to do this. So after months persuading, I finally agreed, and they did the vaginal examination, and turns out that I was ready for CM. So all those small small things I was not calling contractions were actually, I was already in labor and I did not even know. Like, and I'm a doctor. And I did not even know, because I was calling the small small contractions that I was having small small contractions, but actually they were real contractions. I guess because it was not as painful as the ones I had during Chukunonso's time. I felt they were small, I felt they were not intense, and really that confirms for me, sort of. I don't know how scientific this is, but from my experience, induced labor is way more painful than like labor that did not have to be induced. Of course, they are giving you things that will release oxytocin, so typically it should be stronger, but I think that is why I did not recognize that I was in labor. So they now said, oh, but your contractions are not very strong, is not lasting up to, normally you want contractions that are lasting up to 30 to 45 seconds, and they have to feel strong. Mine were not really like that, so they had to put on, that augments me. Now, medical facts, augment labor, there are different ways, but the one we usually use is oxytocin in fluid. So they put in oxytocin for me in fluid, and well, they were, I think I think my entrails was still dancing with the oxytocin. Okay, so they had to double the concentration for them to get what they wanted. While all this was happening, I was trying to get the epidural in, because once you're in active stage of labor, you want to get your epidural in so that it's not too late. And like the first one, that was just one straightforward process, the epidural this time had some issues. I have to be very honest with you guys, because I'm till tomorrow, even after this experience, I am a proponent of epidural every day, all day. Like, it cannot be overemphasized. But because typically when an epidural is passed for you, and they put in a needle and they find the epidural space, and then they put in like a tube, which is called an epidural catheter, into your back, and then give the drugs. Is the epidural catheter that will now be in there, so that you can get top-ups per time depending on how the pain is. But unfortunately for me, the epidural pack that I bought was substandard, and I got it in a place that's supposed to have standard products, but it is what it is. So the epidural catheter was bending, so I had to be poked over and over. But even though all of that happened, at some point I was even feeling some pains, which was not supposed to be, but it was because of the faulty pack. Eventually we had to get a second pack, which is a bit expensive. The packs are supposed to be like 15k per pack, so we had to still get a second one. But my husband weighed it and he was like, ah, you know that you cannot take pain, so is it not better that we buy another pack, because you will still need it after labor. You know, you can get a top up after labor to still help with the pain and the discomfort that is usually down there, because a baby just passed through. So I was like, thought, but this thing is expensive and I'm not really feeling a lot of pain. But I was like, no, let's just go ahead and get it. So we got another pack, and eventually it worked. I had my epidural in. So, and it really, really came in, because as much as I didn't have an episiotomy, which is a tear that is intentionally given to expand the opening so that the baby can come out, I still had some tears that had to be sutured. So they didn't have to use any analgesic, because I already had an epidural in. And as far as I'm concerned, though, the local analgesia, is it not still needle you use and give it, and you're not going to do that to me. So that was why it was important to me, and my husband understood that, even though I was worried about the cost, that I had an epidural in while the labor was progressing. So I think we progressed quite well. I came into the hospital in the evening. I got my epidural in around like 12 midnight. Kudos to the doctors that put it in. I had to drag somebody all the way from town to come and put in my epidural. So I'm so grateful. By then, I think I was about 6 a.m. The labor was not really progressing as fast as they wanted with the augmentation of labor, so they had to increase the concentration of the oxytocin that was going into my drip. Thank God the epidural was already in, so I could feel the increase in the strength of the contractions, because even though you have an epidural, you still feel the pressure, just like you don't feel pain. I could feel the increase in the pressure. I could feel the increase in the time that the contractions were lasting. They were lasting longer, but I was not in pain. Okay, so by early hours of the morning, I was almost fully dilated. I pushed, but that was when I was not feeling like a pro. I was tired though, but I sharp pushed. I pushed, and the baby came out, and they sutured, and the wound I had was not much, so they got it sutured, and I was supposed to put the baby to breast, but well, as usual, breast milk did not come out, so I had to give her milk. So yeah, I think I've come to the end of this. It was something very straightforward. Just that the labor did not come the way I expected. I did not feel as much pain as I thought I was going to feel. So I didn't recognize that I was in labor. So yeah, there are just some things that if you don't experience them, even though you read it in books, you have the knowledge, you have this thing, it's just not the same with actually experiencing the thing. So I guess I've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos, and if you like what you see, subscribe and join the family, and share with your friends, and and remember to leave a comment. I really love to see your comments down in the comment section. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.